everybody, Lori here from Unique in the Creek, and today I'm going to show you a kit we came up with. We are calling it our gift giving kit because a lot of you like to make homemade gifts, and what better gift than a beautiful wreath to put on someone's front door and show them how much you love them. However, you probably don't want to gift them a Christmas wreath. So we've come up with this kit where it's an all around every time of the year wreath. It's going to be a sunflower with this gorgeous sign in the middle that just says, "Welcome to our home, our favorite place to be." So we've paired these up, including our large board, and you also get our zip tie packet. And if you have used or purchased our Unique in the Creek Modern Christmas Tree Kit, you would have got a roll of this buffalo check ribbon, and I'm going to use this buffalo check. This is what I have left over from what I did my Christmas tree. I'm going to use this buffalo check ribbon and make a beautiful hanger for my flower. Now this ribbon isn't included in your kit, but like I said, if you did get our Modern Christmas Tree Kit, then you will have enough from it to make a ribbon hanger. Or you can just use any buffalo check ribbon if you want, or you don't even have to use a ribbon hanger at all. You can just put a zip tie on and be done with it. Okay, so like I said, you get your kit, you get your sign, including in the sign, you get the cable mount and the pipe cleaner. So we're just going to put this to the side because it's set for the end. Your zip tie packet, you get a roll of 10-inch yellow fabric mesh, which makes a beautiful sunflower, and you get a full roll of the green value metallic mesh for the leaves. Now you won't use, definitely won't use the whole roll, so if you have some extra, you can actually make a Christmas tree with this green mesh as well. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're using the large board, and I'm preloading the large board with my zip ties. Now I've started already, however I left some holes to show you. What you're going to do is there's sets of holes. You're going to go down one hole and up the other, and making sure that the flat part of your zip tie is facing towards the hole. That way when you put your tail of your zip tie in, you will get this zipping sound and it will lock, and that's the way we want to preload our board. So down and up, and I usually like to do this while I'm sitting watching a movie or whatever. It doesn't take long at all. So down and up, and wherever there is a zip tie is where we're going to put a piece of yellow mesh as a petal. So we're loading, this is row 2, the row outside is row 1, and there's a single hole, and we're going to be using that at the end for our green leaves. You can do this at the beginning. You can put your green leaves on at the beginning. I just find they get a little bit tattered by the time you're finished your wreath because they do stick out quite a bit, and your arm ends up rubbing against it and fraying up your mesh. So I tend to do it at the end. Okay, our board is all preloaded. So I've done row 2. If you flip it over, you can see it better. Oh, row 2, 3, 4, and 5. Obviously, I was using this for something else, but and if you do, you can write a really nice note if you're gift giving this with some Sharpie marker on the back of your board. Just put a little note, maybe with the year and who it's from, and they'll always know who made that wreath. And if you write on it and you don't like the way it looks, because there's a million times I have to erase my handwriting because I can't stand it, you can just use nail polish remover or sometimes alcohol if you scrub it, but it will come off. It's just Sharpie marker. Okay, so our board is preloaded, so I'm just going to put this to the side. Now we're going to cut our mesh. In your kit, you're going to get a piece of cardboard. The cardboard is 10 inches by 6 inches wide. Okay, now if you have a cutting mat, I'm going to do it a couple ways. If you have a cutting mat, definitely use your cutting mat. If you have a wood burner or a heat sealer, definitely cut it with that. Your product will, the end result will be much more superior than cutting it with a scissors or a rotary cutter, because it stops the frays. However, it still looks really pretty even if you can't heat seal it. So with your cardboard, you're going to flip this over, okay? Grab the 2 clothespins you got and clip them at the top to hold the mesh together. Okay, we're going to line it up here, and then we're just going to flip it over a few times. So I got 1 piece, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now you want to get it as tight as you possibly can, because we need this whole roll of mesh. Okay, so if you get it, if you do it too loose, you're not going to have enough mesh. So that's why I suggest, if you do and you can use a rotary cutter and a mat, please do. But mine's pretty tight, so I got a good, see, it's not too loose in there. And I'm just going to take my scissors now and cut right up the side. Now, sharper scissors, the sharper the better for this. Then your mesh won't fray as much. Mine's really tight here, so there we go. So you just want to get your scissors in between. All right, and then you're going to do the same for the other side. Okay, now you have 6 pieces of 10-inch mesh. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so that's one way you can cut your mesh. The other way, like I said, is with a cutting mat and a rotary cutter. So you're just going to roll out your mesh, take your rotary cutter. Now I have a large mat here, mine's 36 inches, so I can cut 3 pieces at a time. So I'm going to cut at 30, 30, 20, and 10. Okay, now if you want to heat seal your mesh, I do have some really good video on impulse sealing on my YouTube channel. You can go and check that out, because that will prevent any fray from happening, because it kind of melts the mesh. And even though this is fabric mesh, you can still heat seal fabric mesh. Okay, so now let's start building our wreath. So you're going to get your mat up, and I have my mesh already pre-cut. I'm just going to put that to the side. So what you're going to do, not pre-cut the best. Now I did put this under something heavy last night, so even the inner part of my mesh that's really curly is somewhat flattened out. It just makes it life so much easier. So what you're going to do is you have curl up. So if you open it up, it's going to curl up on itself. That's curl up. This would be curl down. Okay, but we're going to do it curl up. You're going to take your clothespins, and what you're going to do is you're going to turn your mesh into a diamond shape, okay, and bring your top corner down to your bottom corner. Now what I want you to do, because we want some perfect points, and to get some perfect points on the end of our mesh, you're going to meet up on the corner, just like so. You have a perfect point here, and just put a clothespin on it, because sometimes when we cut our mesh, it's not perfect 10 inches, but that's okay. So if you put the clothespins just like this on our mesh and press down, even though it's not a perfectly square piece of mesh, And you can tell that because my 2 points don't meet. That doesn't matter, because once we scrunch this up, the only part you're going to see are these top parts. You're not going to see that the bottom here doesn't completely line up, okay? And then what I do is just flip that little, see how the 2 corners are there? Let me just zoom in. My 2 corners are not completely lined up, but my corners up at the top are. I'm going to flip this under and then scrunch straight up the center, just between my forefingers and my thumb, and dragging it. Now you don't want to do this on a tablecloth because you will be pinching your tablecloth. Then I'm going to do is fold it up, and then you can remove your clothespins. And look, we have beautiful, now we'll make sure each side's even. There we go. We have a beautiful petal with the points, even though my mesh wasn't completely squared. That you can't tell because my corners are completely pointed. And then you're going to take this rounded piece and you're going to stick it about a 1/4 inch into your zip tie and pull your zip tie tight. Okay? The whole wreath is going to be made like this. So we're going to do row by row. Okay, I'm going to do one more again with a zoom in. Okay, so corner to corner. This time I'm going to take my, again, I'm going to take my clothespins, and I'm going to make sure that my corner up here is what counts. Same with over here. So put your clothespins. We all know I love my clothespins. Okay, and when you flatten it down, again, this piece is not a perfect square, which is okay. Okay, even though the 2 things, that it's fine. Because when I do scrunch it up, we are going to have beautiful corners still. So I tuck that under, and then just scrunch straight up the center. Flip it up, and you can take your clothespin off, and then just flatten it down to make sure your petal is the same size, which this one's a little bit longer, so just shift your center here to make the petals the same size. There we go. And now what I'm going to take this curved end and just put it into my zip tie. And then I nicely make sure that the petal is flat and curving. Okay, so that we are going to complete all of row 2, row 3, row 4, and row 5 the exact same way. Meeting up the corner. And there's one. And I kind of figured this out because I'm not the greatest with cutting mesh. I'm not OCD at all. I'm like probably the opposite of OCD. But I do like to make a really nice petal. And I figured out if you just make sure that the corners are lined up, it doesn't matter if your mesh is squared up, as long as your corners are pointed and meet up. Okay, and this is called the Rita petal. We call it the Rita petal. Okay, take it, put it in about a 1/4 inch and pull tight. And just keep going on with your mesh the same way. Now this does take a little bit longer, but I still think it's a little faster than trying to make precise 10 by 10 pieces. Well, in my opinion. Again, I'm not OCD. A lot of people have to make sure, and that's fine because their flowers turn out spectacular. But I'm not one of those people to, like I said, to spend my time making sure that each single piece is definitely 10 by 10 square. Ain't nobody got time for that. But this method works just as well. Okay, once you're done row 2, then you're going to take your little wire nippers and you're going to go straight down right to the head of the zip tie and clip them off. Now we provide these in your kit so you don't use your good scissors and dull them really quick. So these are really handy. They're supposedly single use, but you can get many uses out of them. Okay, we're cutting all these off. All right, we are completed row 2. We're making sure all our petals are laying flat, and it is already 28 inches round. So we still have green leaves to add, so this is a beauty on any front door. And it will most definitely fit in between a storm door for anybody a little bit northern. We have storm doors up here. So now I'm going to continue on the same petal on row 3. So I'll do row 3, clip off the tails, row 4, clip off the tails, and then row 5, clip off the tails. And once you've done that, press play and I'm going to show you how we're going to put our sign in and our green leaves. See you in a bit. Hi everybody, welcome back. So hopefully your wreath looks like this somewhat. We are going to have some strings and we can trim those up. I find best trimming up the strings when you hang it on the door to go take your picture. Especially in the bright sunlight, you can see little strings. I don't seem to have too many. Fabric mesh is not too bad if you don't play with it a lot and just kind of leave it alone, it won't fray. But look how nice and saturated this color is. I just love fabric mesh for this reason. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna put our sign in the middle. So you get this sign, and with the sign, there is a black dot on the back of the sign. And you also get a cable mount and a pipe cleaner. Let me just move this out of the way because it's ginormous. Okay, so what you're going to do, now these cable mounts are pretty sticky. However, I would suggest using DAP glue or some Gorilla. I have this Gorilla super glue. The only thing I use this super glue for is for my cable mounts. You can use hot glue as well, or you can just use the adhesive that's on it. Just be aware that eventually over time the adhesive on it will kind of disintegrate and your sign will fall off. But I like this super glue, if I can get the lid off. I hope I didn't super glue the lid on. Maybe I did. I think I did. Oh, there we go. E6000, if you have E6000, it works well too. However, you may have to use E6000 and hot glue at the same time. So the E6000 does take a bit to dry. So if you do a little bit of E6000 and hot glue at the same time, the hot glue will instantly dry it, and then the E6000 will be dry and totally secure it. So with this super glue, you just need a little drop, just a little drop right in the middle. And then I'm going to put this cable mount right in the center. Ooh, make sure you don't get your super glue on your hand, of the black dot there, and just press it down. So there's adhesive still around the outside of it to keep it in place temporarily. And then once the super glue dries, that is not coming off. Okay, and then you're going to slide your pipe cleaner right through the hole in the center of your sign. Okay, now we're going to take our wreath and we're going to find the hanging holes. The hanging holes are right at the top. So there's 2 holes right at the top. Now on the other side, they're kind of divoted or chamfered in. Those are your hanging holes. I'm going to make a ribbon hanger for my wreath. So I'm not going to be using these right now, but this is the top. So I'm going to just flip this over and make sure my top is up there. Then I'm going to feed one pipe cleaner through that hole and one pipe cleaner through this hole. And that way I'm ensured it is completely in the center. Look how pretty that is. Flip it over, twist your pipe cleaner, and then put the ends of your pipe cleaner back down into the holes. And you can also put some hot glue to keep the pipe cleaners down in there, but then there's nothing to scratch your customer's door or your friend's door or whoever you're making it. And then you can center your flower now, or your sign. Now I'm going to add some hot glue once I'm done. I'll add some hot glue under my sign and then push it down just a little bit, just so it, because right now you can turn it. And we're going to leave it being turned right now until we put our green leaves on in our ribbon hanger that that'll be the very last step, so we ensure that the sign is definitely on in the center. I'm going to plug in my hot glue right now, my hot glue gun. Okay, now I'm going to be putting on my green leaves. So I'm going to flip my wreath over. I had one piece of yellow mesh left over from my flower, so I did do good by cutting my pieces 10 by 10. Okay, so I got green, the green Deco mesh. I also cut this 10 by 10, and I'm going to do the exact same method that I did with the yellow. I'm going to do with my green. So a corner down with my little clothespins, and I'm just going to match up the corner, and these are going to peek out in between the yellow pieces. Okay. Scrunch, 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 and you guys should be pros by now at this. I'm going to take my clothespin off and just put it, make sure it's even. We want our leaves to be the same size, and then throw a clothespin on it, and then you're going to take a zip tie, and I'm going to do this upside down. I'm going to put my zip tie right through the hole because I'm going to be using the hole to the outer edge. Find which side looks better. This side, if I turn this over, you can see the cut edges. So I'm going to have this side as my good side. So I'm going to flip it over because I'm going to be doing this backwards. That when I turn my wreath over, you are going to see the good side of the green leaves. I'm just going to put this down, do the zip tie. I'm going to make sure that the green is underneath the board, and do up the zip tie nice and tight, and then cut off the tail. Now you want to make sure your zip tie nub is not on the right edge of the board, so if your friend or customer picks it up by the board or whatever, this can be a little bit sharp. Just keep it on the side, or you can even pop it into the hole. All right, let's do the next one. So we'll do the zip tie in. Like I said, by the time you get to the green, you should be a professional making this petal. This side looks a little bit better, so I'm going to use this side as my good side. So this side's not my good side, so I'm going to make it on the back. Where'd you go? There it is. Okay, do it up. Make sure that the green is on the reverse side of the board. And I'll show you, I'm going to flip it over and you'll be able to see how you can see it sticking out. See the green coming out, the yellows. So this wreath becomes about 30 inches in diameter. So it is a beautiful, beautiful wreath. And actually really simple to make. So you can put as many green leaves as you want on it. So you can do you can do 8 all the way around, or you can just do, I think I'm going to just do 2 and 2. So I'm going to do right opposite, right here. I'm just going to put 4 of the green leaves on. You can do all 8, or you can do 2, or you can do 6. You can double them and put 2 pieces in one zip tie. It's totally up to you. this one, both sides look good, so it doesn't really matter. Okay, so there's that one, and then this one will be this one right here. So I'm just going right across from each other. This side looks better, so I'm going to flip it over so that this side. And there we go. I'm going to just put 4. You could probably, maybe, nah, I think 4 is good. Again, it's use your own judgment. It's your wreath. You do however you like it. Oh, that looks beautiful and very grand. Okay, so now if you don't have any ribbon and you don't want to make a ribbon hanger, you're almost done. You're going to put a zip tie through the 2 holes at the top here, just like that. Do your zip tie up. So you're going to make a hanger, cut the tail off, and there you go. You're ready to go. Okay, now I'm going to put some hot glue under mine. First, I'm going to make sure the wreath, I'm going to look at it, make sure my sign is straight. Hold it down, and I'm just going to pump some hot glue on one side, pump a little bit on the other side, and just hold it. That way, it's it won't move, it won't twirl around in the center. And you just made a beautiful, beautiful wreath that you can give, or you could even sell these. These are just absolutely gorgeous because these are all through the year kind of wreaths. There you go. Gorgeous. And yes, it's 30 inches in diameter. Okay, thanks for joining me. I am going to put a ribbon hanger on mine. You can find the ribbon hanger tutorial on our YouTube channel. If you should want to do one with yours, like I said, I'm going to be making one with this ribbon that's left over from my modern Christmas tree kit. And I think it will look just splendid. Thanks for joining me, and as always, please subscribe to our YouTube channel because we always have some fun, exciting stuff going on there. Thanks, everybody. Bye.